Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me. Let me know in the chat. I'm super happy to be here with you guys. As you can see, there is like the green button again, which says download the workbook. And I added a new, like the part that we are talking about today. So make sure that you download it and that you work with it. All right, you can see me and hear me. Awesome. Also, if you can have the book present, this is what we're talking about today, The 7 Types of Spirit Guide, my book, and have some pen and paper or document on your computer or something like this. And if possible, be on your computer, not on your phone, so you can take notes and all that. All right, so welcome to the Spirit Guide Show. I hope you're well. And this is, like I said, the third of 4 episodes in our book club special. So what's the book club special? Over 4 weeks, we discuss and reflect on my book, like I said, The 7 Types of Spirit Guide. How to connect and communicate with your cosmic helpers. In case you haven't read it yet, you can get it on Amazon or anywhere else that books are sold. You can get it as an audio version on Audible. You can get the ebook, the paperback, any way you like it. And we will conclude this 4-part book club series with a spirit guide ceremony next Saturday, during which you will have the opportunity to connect with your own personal spirit guide. And I'm super excited about this, and I hope you are too. So first, let me know where you are joining us from today. I'm always interested. I'm always I have my own little challenge that I want people from every continent to come to an episode. So I'm still waiting. I think we did it once. So let me know where you're from. And while you're at it, share with anyone who would be interested in watching the show with you today. There's a share button. I think for you here, for me, it's here. You can click on that and invite people to come over and join us. So please do that if you know someone who might be interested. Also, if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, then please come on over here to Crowdcast. The link is in the description, either above or below, depending on which is it, if it's YouTube or Facebook. Read the description. There's a link. Click on that link. Come on over here. While you do that, let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Jamile Jemunja, and I'm a spirit guide medium, which means that I can sense other people's spirit guides around them and give people messages from their spirit guides. That's what I do on a daily basis. I do readings and connect people with their spirit guides and give them messages. I'm also a Hay House author. That's why you guys are here, because I wrote that book. And again, if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, find the link in the description. Come on over here to Crowdcast, because only here can I see your comments. Only here can I do readings for you. Only here can I answer your questions. If you have any tech issues, reload the page or refresh your screen. That usually solves the problem. All right, so I see we have lots of people, yay. We have Amy from Germany, Michelle from California, Liz from California, Kim from the UK, from Surrey, Deanna from Boston, Eva from Hungary, Lisa from Barbados, Betty from Belgium, Mark from Somerset in the UK, Nicola from England, Brucella from Northwest London, Melissa from the East Coast, Marie-Hélène from Belgium, Theo from Boston. Hero says he's from nowhere. Well, you live in a country, but I get it. Then we have Darnifor from Iceland, Emma from Oregon. We have Alexandra from Croatia. We have Mary from Canada. Awesome, everyone. I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome. So like I said earlier today, we will discuss and reflect on my book, The 7 Types of Spirit Guides, specifically part 3. That's chapters 11, 12, and 13. Actually, we're not doing 13 because we haven't done the ceremony yet, but 11 and 12. If you haven't yet, please download the workbook, green button. It literally says download the workbook. And let's get started with the book club. So remember, sorry, I have to repeat it all the time, but if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, find the link in the description and come on over here, because only here can I answer your questions, etc. We won't go through the whole workbook as usual. I just picked a few questions for us today, and you can do the rest on your own over the coming week. It is important that you do these exercises in the workbook over the next week, and maybe even reread like chapter 11 and 12. That's the 2 chapters, well, and the chapter about your main guide, like 3 chapters. Reread them over the next week for the spirit guide ceremony. You want to be as prepared as possible. All right, so today we will discuss how to get into the right mindset for the ceremony, setting the right intentions and managing your expectations, and how to prepare for the ceremony. This is the fun part. So these are the more reflective questions, and hearing the answers from other people can be inspiring and enlightening, especially because we're preparing for next week, and it can give you some ideas how you want to do your ceremony. So you should be able to fill in the workbook on your computer, but if you run into any problems with the workbook, don't worry. You can simply write the questions somewhere else and then answer them somewhere else, notebook or something like that. So if time permits, I will also do a few mini readings towards the end of the show. So let's get started. And I will share my screen. There you go. I hope you guys can see that. And so let's start off by opening the workbook or your pen and paper or blank document on your computer, whatever it is, and go all the way to part 3. You can see that here on the screen, part 3, chapter 11. So here's chapter 11. Right, so this chapter in the book is called Yes, Even You Can Talk to Your Spirit Guides. And I named it so because I want to prevent you straight away from letting the negative voices in your head get to you and convince you that for some reason or other, you can't do this. I don't care what your circumstances are, you can do this. All right. Okay, so now that we are clear on that, please go to the next page where you're asked to name the 4 mindset shifts. So the next page looks like this. It literally says mindset shifts, easy to find. So these are the 4 mindset shifts you need to make before attempting a spirit guide ceremony. Does anyone remember any of them? Who remembers the 4 mindset shifts that I talk about in chapter 11? Please share in the chat. Let us know if you remember any of them. And don't worry if you don't remember all of them. I'll go through them really quickly in a second. But I want to give you a chance to see if you remember any of them. Who has just read chapter 11 and remembers any of the mindset shifts? Let me know. Yes, you can totally take the book and cheat a little bit. So Autumn says spirit versus imagination. Yes, perfect. That's one of them. Shauna says sitting in the power. That's number 2. Marie says she's not there yet in the book. That's totally fine. You have a week to read it. It's really important, again, that you read chapter 11 and 12 in preparation for next week. All right. So, and if you don't have the book yet, just get it as an ebook or listen to the audio version. That's just quicker than ordering it and waiting, unless you can get it from Amazon in a day or so. All right. So, where am I? Right. So the first one is about spirit language. And the mindset shift is that spirit guides do not communicate the same way humans do. And that's very important to remember. They do not communicate the same way that humans do. And that's important to remember because most people, when they start out and want to connect with their guides, they expect their guides to either show up in full physical form and give them like very specific guidance and instructions through the spoken word. That's not how it works. Usually there are exceptions. Sometimes someone might see them in full physical form, but usually even for professional mediums, psychics, witches, shamans, spirits do not show up in full physical form and do not give you specific instructions via the spoken word. They use symbols, intuition, and sometimes dreams to communicate with you. And when I say dreams, I include daydreams and your imagination. Okay, so mindset shift number 1, spirit language. Spirit guides do not communicate the same way humans do. Very important to remember. Okay, mindset shift number 2. And this is about the question, am I making it all up? And I'm sure that every single person here on this show has had that question. Am I making all this up? Including me. But I just learned to not to listen to these thoughts anymore. So am I making all this up? And this is like, and you can see this on the next page. This is spirit guide language. So there you can fill in dreams, intuition, and symbols. And then on the next page is spirit guides versus imagination. All right. So again, please read chapter 11. There's like a whole section on spirit guides or imagination. I can't explain all of it right now. I can give you a little bit of tips. So some people even think that they might, they are not sure if they are like kind of like crazy. They think they are going crazy. Usually that is not the case. If you had like serious mental health issues, yes, then you can have hallucinations and all that. But if you have serious mental health issues, it doesn't just start suddenly with one hallucination. Usually there are signs that come before. There are other signs that there's really something wrong with your mental health. And I have a whole spirit guide show episode about this, and I'll give you the link in a second so you can watch this. So again, read chapter 11. I discuss this. You can also watch the whole episode of the spirit guide show that's about this, just to make sure and prepare for next week. Another sign that you can tell that the difference is like sometimes, for example, if you have thoughts that are kind of like planted there by your spirit guides, they will start the sentence different than you would think it. So if you think your sentence starts with "I want to," then it's usually you. If the sentence starts with "you," for example, you are such a nice person, then it can be your spirit guides because it starts with you. Or sometimes they will talk like in the we form. They will say something like, we are here, blah, blah, blah. That's one sign. and there are a few other signs, but the most important thing that you need to remember is that the distinction comes with practice. So you need to practice again and again and again. And with time, you will understand the difference. So don't get too hung up on this. Also because, like I said earlier, your spirit guides use your imagination to communicate with you. Like I said, daydreaming, for example, or night dreams, or when you do a guided meditation, you use your imagination, but your spirit guides will kind of like use that as a canvas to add their own message to it. So again, don't worry too much about, am I making it up? Am I not making it up? Just keep going, keep practicing, and over time you will understand the difference. Okay, so then mindset shift number 3 is about quieting your mind and raising your vibration. Let me go to the next page. I think, no, yes, that's it. So quieting your mind, raising your vibration. And you do that by sitting in the power. And that's a meditation, and it's fully described in the book. And lots of you have done it with me, either here on the Spirit Guide Show in various episodes. Some of you have done my course with me or bought the recordings. It's in there. Some of you have come to my Hay House events and I shared how to do this. It's meant, so sitting in the power is meant to quieten your mind and raise your vibration. So that's number 3. Try that out if you have the time before next week. Like I said, it's in the book, so easy to find. And then mindset shift number 4 is about how spirit guides communicate. Again, they do not you will probably not hear a booming voice that tells you, okay, this is what you need to do. It's just not how it works. Again, they communicate mostly through symbols, intuition, and dreams. And the way you receive this information is via the 6 clairs. So we have clairvoyance. That's the one that most people know. That's about seeing, but it's not seeing with your eyes as you do now when you look around. It's like your inner eyes. So when your eyes are closed, and let's do that real quick. Close your eyes. And now remember what you had for breakfast this morning. And visualize what you had for breakfast this morning. And now pay attention to how you saw your breakfast with your mind's eye. You didn't see it with your actual eyes. You saw it with your mind's eye. And it's a little bit different from like normal seeing. But this is how clairvoyance works. Exactly the same thing, as if you're remembering something. All right. So then the next one is clairaudience. That's hearing, clear hearing. Again, it's not the same as if you heard someone's voice. For some people it is. Some people have like that's their main clair and they literally hear voices, but that's not how it usually works. It's more like an inner voice. Again, close your eyes. And remember what someone you love, husband, wife, children, what was the last thing they said to you today or yesterday or the last time you talked to them? See how you hear their voice in your head? That's what clairaudience is like. And usually, because you don't know your guides yet, you will not even hear it in a different voice. You will hear it in your own voice. And that's why it's a little bit tricky to see the difference. But again, practice makes perfect. Next up, clairsentience. That's clear feeling. That works. The empaths among you know exactly how that works. You just feel something. You feel how someone else feels. You get information about the other person through feeling. And sometimes that can even be like a physical feeling, in the sense of, let's say someone has a stomach ache and you feel the pain in your own stomach, and you might think it's your pain, but it isn't, it's theirs. And that's what clairsentience is. So your guides can communicate with you through your feelings. You might not see anything, you might not hear anything, you might just feel. You might feel a wave of love, or you might feel like someone is there, or you might feel that they want you to I don't know, like do more yoga. Whatever it is, like it can come through feelings, and that is just as valid as seeing or hearing. And for some people, that's all they get, like the feeling, and that's fine. You don't have to see or hear to communicate with your guides. Next, we have claircognizance. Claircognizance is even more, I think it's a little bit rarer, but it's basically about sudden downloads and insights that you get. And a lot of people won't recognize that this is a psychic sense, because they think that it's just coming out of nowhere. And it's hard to recognize because you don't know where it's coming from. It's just suddenly there. You just know something. And so that's how it works. I work a lot with claircognizance. When I do readings for people, I get the messages through claircognizance and clairvoyance. Not so much clairaudience. Sometimes clairsentience, but mostly claircognizance and clairvoyance. So everyone has different main clairs that they work with. And again, practice makes perfect. You have to try again and again and again, and eventually you will figure out what's your main clair and how your spirit guides communicate with you. Then next we have clairscent. That's fairly seldom, but it's like you smell, and your spirit guides can communicate with you via smell. So if you're generally someone who has a really good sense of smell, this might be your main clair. And then your spirit guides could just send you smells. Like, let's say you have a grandma that passed and she smelled like, or she had a perfume that smelled like violets. Maybe you just suddenly smell violets. And you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, you don't get any downloads, you don't feel anything, you just suddenly smell. And because it's like that smell of your grandmother, you know, oh, the spirit of my grandmother is here. Or it's like maybe tobacco or a cigarette, because someone that you know used to smell cigarettes. So that's clairscent. And then the last one is clairgustance, which is clear tasting. So you could taste the cookies your grandmother would make when you were a kid. And again, that's a sign that your grandma is around. So the last two are not very common and are usually not the main way to communicate with your guides, but for some people it is. So these are the 6 clairs, and keep these in mind next week. All right, so let me catch up in the book. Wait, where are we? Right, okay, so let me here. So this was Sitting in the Power, and there are 7 steps. Please just consult the book for that. And then here we have the main clairs, so you can write them down. Again, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairscent, and clairgustance. All right. So the next page, we have managing your expectations. So, but first let's go back to the 4 mindset shifts. So these 4 mindset shifts that we just talked about, the spirit language, spirits or imagination, quieting your mind / sitting in the power, and the 6 clairs are the 4 mindset shifts that are essential for the success of a spirit guide ceremony. So I wanted to mention them here again in preparation for next week. If you're unclear about any of them, please reread chapter 11 in the book. And you can also find past episodes of the Spirit Guide Show on each of these topics. And I'll put that in the chat right now. So this is the link to all my past shows. You can just scroll through and find the ones that interest you and re-watch them if you're interested. All right, so now please go to the page called Managing Your Expectations. Here you are asked what your expectations looked like before reading the book, and especially before reading chapter 11, and how they have changed. So again, I talked earlier about, as an example, when a lot of people think they have to see their guides to communicate with them, or know their name to communicate with them, or hear a voice. So these are like normal expectations. So if that is like what you thought before, then write that down, and also how your expectations have changed. And I'll give you a few minutes. So take 2 or 3 minutes to jot down your thoughts, and then share with us in the chat. Maria Lynn asks, could it be during a psychedelic experience? Do you mean communicating with your spirit guides? Yes, definitely. Absolutely. But I wouldn't recommend that to just anyone. So please don't think I'm recommending this. Maria says claircognizance, her indigenous teachers call it the knowing. Yes, you just know things and you don't even know where it's coming from. Lindsay wants to know, says, I have heard spirit say my name, like outside of myself physically. Also heard my dog who passed away. Would this make clairaudience my main clair? It's definitely one of the clairs that your guides seem to use with you. So I don't know if it's your main clair. Again, practice and you will see. But I would definitely pay attention to it, yes. Theo has an interesting question. He wants to know what clair would be automatic writing. And I would think, I've never thought about this, but I would think it's probably claircognizance. But then again, it could actually be all of them, because like you get the information, you write it down. Where the information comes from can be different for everyone. So you could get it through clairsentience and then you write, or you could get it through clairvoyance and you write. So it's not really one clair. Nicola says she thought it might be a bit scary before, but she's not scared anymore. Yeah, that's the whole thing. A lot of us, even though we might not actually have grown up in religious households, families, we still live in a society that is very much influenced by certain bigger religions who say that talking to spirits is like evil and that there are evil spirits out there and you have to be super careful and all this kind of stuff. And so that's lodged in our subconscious and we get scared. Plus, many of us watch like scary Hollywood movies about scary ghosts and zombies and other kinds of beings. But once you understand how this works, and that's the whole thing, like when fear comes up if you don't know, it's kind of like the fear of the unknown. But if you start to learn about it and how it works and how natural it really is, the fear goes away. That's why I'm doing this work, really. Yeah, like AJ says, I've always been scared because of previous experiences where I saw figures that made me uncomfortable, even scared. But now I know that my spirit guides are full of love and want to help. Exactly. It's like this fear of the unknown, and then we got scared even of our own spirit guides. But that's not necessary. Yes, Liz, this is the perfect way to go about it. She says, I came in without expectations, or so I believed. Now I have no expectations about the ceremony. I will accept whatever happens. That's the best mindset to go into it. All right, so I can't read all of it. Yes, and Leslie says, yeah, I realized that the communication is much more subtle than I thought before. Exactly. It can be super subtle. Your spirit guides are talking to you all the time. We just don't realize it. Eddie says the most difficult requirement is, I think, that I have to have a not busy mind, which is all the time. Yes, don't think that you can stop your mind from being busy and talking to you. That doesn't work. The trick is to see your thoughts and the distracting thoughts like the clouds. The clouds are not you. You can look at them and you can pay attention to them, and your gaze can follow the clouds, or you can take your gaze away and focus on something else. The clouds won't go away if you don't look at them. They're still there and they keep going, but you don't have to pay attention to them. And that's the trick. To really understand, I am not my thoughts, and I don't have to always pay attention to the thoughts I don't want to pay attention to. I can just let them go by like the clouds and pay attention to something else. Belinda says, before I read the book, I was looking for insight on what are spirit guides and who are they for. After reading the book, I have a clear understanding of what spirit guides are, and they are available for everyone, not just certain people. Yes, exactly. Marie-Hélène says, I think I expect to see images in my head, but we will see what it will be. Yes, don't expect anything. You might not see anything. You might just feel something, or you might just smell something. You never know. Maria says, I do my best to just stay open and hope I recognize a sign, whether it is a feeling or a knowing, a working. I meant to say I'm always working on trust. Yes, exactly. Perfect. Amy says, I didn't believe we could communicate with our guides and found it spooky. Well, I hope you don't find it spooky anymore. Sandra says, need to be able to recognize intuition, listen to subtle signs. Yes, perfect. All right, I have to skip a little bit. I can't read all of you guys. Wendy says, claircognizance is my strongest clair, but was scary at first, and clairsentience is another clair I felt used that throws me off when I am hit with a wave of emotions. Again, that's very typical for people who work with clairsentience, that they feel overwhelmed by the emotions, but it's similar to what I said about the thoughts. You have to learn that your emotions are not you. And you can watch your emotions, but you don't have to be caught up in them. Even if it's something like fear, you can watch your fear and how it's like, how it acts and what it does, but you don't have to dive into it. You can be separate from it. And that's when you can start like really seeing it as a message, and because you're clear-headed about it. Autumn says, I'm not sure how we could use certain clairs. Like if you get a taste, what could that mean for you? It's not so much about like how you use it. It's much more about being aware of it. And because then you recognize when your spirit guides are talking to you. So your spirit guide could be, and I say talking, your spirit guide could be talking to you through feelings. So when you do the spirit guide ceremony and you suddenly have like a rush of love, then you recognize, oh, this is my spirit guide sending me this feeling of love. And if you see something, like you see in your mind's eye, maybe a hand, then you might know, oh, this is not, I'm just not making this up. My spirit guide is showing me what their hand looks like. Maybe to let you know that they were once a human, and what kind of skin color they have. And that could be a clue. Or maybe you just see the hand and you see a ring, and that could be a clue. So it's really about just being aware of it and paying attention to what's coming through. All right, so awesome, you guys. Let's move on. So where are we? Right, so let's move on to the first page in chapter 12 of the workbook. So that looks like this. And it says, what are your experiences with rituals and ceremonies? So here you're asked to reflect on any prior experiences you have made with rituals and ceremonies, what you liked about them and what you didn't like. And when I say rituals and ceremonies, think about things like family gatherings, about birthdays, funerals, ceremonies connected to school and jobs like graduation, when you get a raise, and of course, religious and spiritual rituals and ceremonies like baptisms, weddings, Christmas, and other holidays. And just like go through that in your head for a few minutes and write down anything that you like and could use in your spirit guide ceremony. So one obvious example would be if you used to go to Catholic church with your family and you really, really liked, what do they use? They use, I forget the word. They use something that smells really good. I forget what it is. If someone knows, please put it in the chat. But so if that is something that you liked and that kind of like calmed you down, put you in a meditative state, then maybe use that as well for your spirit guide ceremony. And so just think about things. Or did you really like, God, I can't come up with an example right now. But for example, Christmas. Do you really like the space where you have your Christmas tree every year? Is that a special place for you? Then you could do your ceremony there. So just, yeah, go through these things, see if there's anything that, you liked about your experiences and if you can use it in your spirit guide ceremony. And then let us know in the chat. And I see that you guys are wondering about, like Autumn said, what can it mean to have a certain or to get something through a certain. Marie-Hélène, sorry, says, yeah, the meaning of a taste seems to be hard to translate into something we can understand. Don't worry for now about what does it mean. Like, I know this is like the number one question everyone always has, but it can be very distracting. Do not try to interpret things for now. Just be open and let your spirit guides give you some impressions, and do not try to interpret them, because when you start interpreting, your brain, your mind, your logical brain starts working, and then you're out of the flow. So try not to interpret, try not to think about meaning, just be open. Let's say your phone, when you take a picture of something, your phone doesn't ask, what does that mean? It just takes a picture. It just sees, that's what I see, and then it takes a picture. Or like a recording device. It just records what's happening. That's how you want to be. And then the meaning, you can do that after. White sage, thank you. That's it. And myrrh, yeah. So any of these, like any kind of smell, like incense, essential oils, these kinds of things are always, can be very helpful for putting you in the right state of mind for a ceremony, a spirit guide ceremony. Frankincense, yeah, exactly. Thank you, guys. Candles, of course. Candles are used in so many rituals and ceremonies. Birthdays, for example, birthday candles. Singing, exactly, like music of any kind. You can have music in the background. If you do use music without words, because the words have can distract. So if possible, use music without words. Prayers is a good one. Do you want to incorporate prayer? Crystals? Marie-Hélène says, my most beautiful ceremony experience was a women's circle with cacao ceremony in the woods with friends. Yes. Yes, cacao is nice. I was just thinking, I don't want to recommend it in that sense, but if someone has done cacao ceremonies before, you might want to try a spirit guide ceremony at some point with cacao. And it's legal, I think, in most countries, but please make sure. I don't want to incite you to do something illegal. It's legal, it's safe. Do your research. If you are thinking about this, do a lot of research so you know what you're getting yourself into. Disclaimer. Flowers, that's a good one. I like that. Having flowers around. You could also use your own plants and create the space for your ceremony, like a circle with plants or with flowers. That's great. Mantras, yes. Uli says nice clothes, clean up internally and externally. Yes, yes, absolutely. Maria says, when receiving something that is not clear, one can also say, thank you, please tell me more. Yes, but that's a little bit advanced. So I would this time be like a recording device. Just be open. Don't try to interpret right away. Chanting, yes, so music again. Mark says, would it help if I have photos of my family? Depends. I would not recognize, not recognize. Oh, my words today. I wouldn't, no, I wouldn't do it. At least not this time. Because I'll tell you why. Because photos of specific family members means that you're calling these specific family members in. But you want to be open to seeing who comes through. And also it gives it, you have certain expectations when you do that. You expect like them to show up, and then you miss it if like someone else shows up because you're too focused like here, even though other beings might show up. So I would keep yourself as open as possible, if that makes sense. All right. And Marie-Helene says building an altar. Yes, we'll get through that. Brusella says Himalayan salt bath before. Yes, that's also a really good idea. I love doing that too. All right, so awesome ideas. Let's see, where are we? Right, so then on the next page, you are asked for the definition of a spirit guide ceremony. So this is, and I want to, you can look that up in the book, but I want to share it with you real quick because I think it's important that we're all on the same page. So let me read it from page 208 in the book. It's really quick. It takes a minute, I think. All right, so where is page 208? Here. All right, so now hold on. I'll make myself bigger again. There we go. So what exactly is a spirit guide ceremony? To define what a spirit guide ceremony is, we first need to determine what a general ceremony is. According to Wikipedia, a ceremony is an event of ritual significance performed on a special occasion. So what's a ritual? According to Merriam-Webster, a ritual comprises a series of actions involving gestures, words, and objects performed according to a prescribed order. To put it even more simply, a ritual is the established form of a ceremony. The ceremony is the event itself, and the ritual is the action that takes place during the ceremony. So we can define a spirit guide ceremony as a ceremony during which we establish a connection with a spirit guide through ritual and intention. So I'll say that one more time. A spirit guide ceremony is a ceremony during which we establish a connection with a spirit guide through ritual and intention. All right. So let's go back to the workbook. All right. So now that we're clear on what a spirit guide ceremony is, let's move on to the fun part, preparing for the ceremony next week. And I think we're going to go over the time a little bit today, and I won't have time for readings this time, but it's important that we do this right for next week. So on the next page, you have the space to set the date. Wait, let me go there. Here you go. So set the date. That would be March 13th, next week. You can write that down. And then select the space for the ceremony. So it's up to you to pick a place. Somewhere in your house would be ideal because you know you're safe. No one's going to disturb you. Make sure you pick somewhere quiet, where you can close the door, let your family members know that you need some time to yourself. And yeah, pick a place and write it down. And then next, set your intention for the ceremony. So if you've never connected with your guides before, your intention should be to connect with your spirit guide. That's it. Same time as always, Marie-Hélène. It might be longer though. I'll let you know. It could be that it's definitely going to be longer than an hour. It's maybe going to be 1.5, 2 hours. I have to prepare and I'll let you know. And I'll send out the invites earlier than usual. So the invite will go out probably on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday, so that you have enough time to prepare and all that. All right. So again, if you've never connected with your spirit guide, your intention should be to connect with your spirit guide, and that's it. Do not ask for guidance. Don't ask for help on anything. Keep it simple. The only thing you want to do during this spirit guide ceremony is make a connection with your spirit guide. You can do more ceremonies on your own later on, and then ask for other things, but keep it simple. Take one step at a time. Again, practice makes perfect. If you've connected with your guides before, you can set a different intention, but the same rules apply. Keep it simple. Only set one intention. Don't ask for what you don't want. Ask for what you want instead. And this is generally a good rule for life. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you want. Also ask for what you actually want, not the means to get it. And this is important. For example, a lot of people will, for example, ask their guides to find a way to help them get more money. But what do you actually want to do with that money? Why do you want more money? Money is just a tool, not the end goal. So what is it that you really want? So when you set your intention, ask yourself why. If you want your guides to help you with your psychic development, why? Keep asking why until you get to the root of your desires and wishes and the reason you want to connect with your guides. Again, like ask and ask and ask again and again and again. Why do I want this? Why do I want to connect with my spirit guides? Why do I want to develop my psychic senses? Why do I want more money? Why do I want to get healthy? It's like always find the why until there is no why left, until you get to the root of your desires and wishes. Again, this is generally a good rule in life, to always ask yourself, why do I actually want this? All right, so then when you get to the root, that should be the intention you set for the ceremony. So let us know in the chat what your intention is. If you want to share, if it's too private, obviously don't. But I'm sure some people want to share, and it's always good to see other people's intentions because it's like inspiring. So let us know in the chat. And I'll check the chat if there's more. Tiana says, I always did ceremonies with fire. Yes, that would be amazing. Unfortunately, we can't do that online. But yes, I love, 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 love any kind of fires. But we can have candles. So that's also a fire. Karen says, turn mobile phones off. Yes, absolutely. Turn all technology off, except for, of course, the device you use to connect to us. Okay, so Amy says her intention is connect with her spirit guide. Autumn says, I'm just looking to make my first contact. Marie-Hélène says, connect with my spirit guide. Eva says, also connect with spirit guide. Maria says, invite family healing. Awesome. But again, ask yourself why. I mean, it seems obvious that family healing is your intention, but ask yourself why and see how far you can get with the why. Emma says, connect with my spirit guide. Lisa says to confirm that I have actually been communicating with my spirit guide. Okay, why? Because you don't trust yourself? Why don't you trust yourself? Like, keep asking, why? Liz says, connect with her main spirit guide. I would keep that open and just say, connect with my spirit guide, not even main spirit guide. Keep it as open as possible if you're new. It might be a different one. When I do readings for people, I never ask for the main spirit guide. I just ask for the spirit guide that has the most important message for my client that day. Lindsay says, can my partner who passed away be my spirit guide? No. He can be around you and he can help you, definitely. But he cannot be your spirit guide in that sense because, like, at least your main, like, team of guides has been with you your entire life. And your partner obviously was here when you were alive, so he can't be one of your main team. However, like I said, he can obviously be around you and help you and you can connect with him. Absolutely. But I would not pick someone that was so important to you to connect with during this first spirit guide ceremony, again, because then the expectations are so high that the chance that you disappoint yourself are very high. So I would keep it simple. Just say, I want to connect with my spirit guide or something similar if you've done it before. But keep your expectations in check because your expectations are the number one thing that can completely ruin it, in the sense that your expectations aren't being met and you totally miss what's actually happening. Diana says, I've connected to my Ascended Master Guide and my intention is to ask what path I need to take right now to connect with others who need to hear what I know. Okay, great. But again, ask yourself why. Always ask yourself why. If there's no other why, perfect, but at least try it. Shauna says, my intention is just to see if anyone new comes in. I know several animal guides. Okay, perfect. Martian, sorry, not sure how to pronounce your name. Says, I would love to heal others, help them with their illnesses. Okay, again, why? Really ask yourself why. And also, like, when you ask these kinds of questions, like why, also be honest with yourself, because sometimes, and that's totally fine, we are human, we want to do things because, for example, we want to feel special, or because we feel lost and need something to hold on to. That's totally fine. We all do these things, but it's important to just uncover why we want to do things. Song says, so I can connect and receive guidance for myself and others. Lindsay says, I see what you mean. Thank you for answering that. You're welcome. Wendy says, I feel that I've connected with my star being before, so I want to ask for assistance with new technology that I'm learning, that I'm having trouble understanding. This is so I can expand my business that promotes my positive message. Okay, so you're saying basically what you really want is to promote your positive message. So instead of asking for help with the technology, ask for help to promote your positive message. Because you might think that the technology is the one thing that will get you there, but your guides might know that there are a million other ways to do it too. And that's exactly why I say this about, like, always ask yourself why. Because when you get to the root of what you actually want and you ask for that, Your guides have way more leeway to help you instead of you kind of like micromanaging them by asking them for something specific because you think that's going to get you to your goals. But that's just you. And we all have a limited view. That's just how humans work. So give your guides the space to help you to get what you really want. Thank you for posting that, because that was a perfect example. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what Wendy asked for. I'm just saying ask yourself why, because it gives you actually more opportunities. Lindsay says, I would love to connect with my spirit guide to make my Reiki practice even stronger, as I will be able to pick up more information for my clients. Okay, see if there's a why behind that. Theo says, can you give us a brief summary of how we will connect in ceremony using a virtual setting? Will we be able to use the recording for later ceremonies? Yes, there will be a recording. I haven't prepared for it yet, but if you, I will figure that out. So I can't answer that right now, but that's why I'm sending the invite earlier. Like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that you have enough time. It will be a longer invite. I will explain things, etc. All right, so that was really awesome. Thank you for sharing. I hope that inspired everyone. All right, so where are we? All right, so up next, choose the 4 objects that will represent the 4 directions and elements. So that could be, for example, a candle for fire, a bowl of water for water, and what else? Maybe a feather for air, or incense for air, and what else? A crystal for earth, for example. And then you could say, if you have a system that, for example, the north is connected to the earth, perfect. Or you can just focus on the elements or just on the directions. That's really totally up to you. So, but find 4 objects that will represent the 4 directions that you can place around you. Write these down. And it could also be other things, flowers, crystals, candles. The sky is the limit, really. Use your imagination. And also remember to personalize this according to the type of spirit guide you are working with. So if you already know what type of spirit guide you have, you can ask for that spirit guide to come in, but keep an open mind. Again, sometimes you want to communicate with one guide, but it's actually another one who wants to come in because they have the more important message. So keep an open mind, but personalize. For example, if you have a nature spirit, then it makes sense to bring plants and flowers into the space. So remember, you can also read the chapter about that guide, your main guide, in the book again, just to get some inspiration. You can do some Google searches to get inspiration. And then also consider what other kinds of objects you want to incorporate. So that don't represent the 4 directions, but maybe the ones that go on your altar, or anything that you think helps you connect. Maybe you have a special blanket that you want to put over your shoulders. And then, of course, let us know in the chat what you come up with. Which direction should the altar be? I'm going to leave that up to you, whatever feels right to you. If you follow a certain spiritual tradition that says your altar should always be towards the north or whatever, then follow that. Feel free to do that. If you just want to do it by intuition, that's totally fine too. Karen says, I would bring my angel dolls into the ceremony and some angel wings I have hanging on my wall. Perfect. Exactly. You can bring like little statues of for example, if you want to connect with a deity, you could bring like a little statue of your deity. You can always bring a statue of Ganesh, for example, because he's the remover of obstacles, so he can help keep you focused and not fall for any distractions and these kinds of things. You can, if you don't have a statue, you can also just write the name and put that on your altar. For example, Archangel Michael for protection. You can even put like a knife on your altar that symbolizes protection if that is something that you're worried about. Just don't bring any guns. That doesn't seem like a good idea. And if you have a knife, please make sure you're safe, obviously. Mark says, can my wife be in the same room? She's very spiritual. I wouldn't recommend it. It's obviously up to you, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's a distraction to some point. I would do it on your own. If she wants to do it as well, I would recommend you're both in different rooms. And then once you practice a few times, you can do it together. That should be fun to do it together. But for now, I would recommend doing it on your own. Liz says a white candle, a feather, red jasper stone, and bowl of water. Awesome. Marie-Helene says some crystals, feathers. I'm not sure what incense are. Tarot deck. Yeah, tarot deck is awesome. Marcin says candle, crystal, stones, runes deck. Yeah, also a good idea. All right, so now please decide what clothes you want to wear. And I would recommend not wearing black, not wearing any extreme colors like red, but keeping it neutral. Sarah says crystals, shell and water, candle, feather and pen. That sounds great. Shells is a good idea, yes. And again, when you look at what you want to wear, consider the type of guide you are going to work with. Again, keep an open mind about that, but yeah, you can definitely try to connect with one specific one, but keep an open mind. It's very important. Liz says, I have a white dress with small flowers on it that I can wear. That sounds awesome. That sounds lovely. Mary says, is there a reason for neutral colors? Yes, because colors are vibrations. And so if you wear red, red is a very like Aggressive is not the right word. I'm trying to find a word that's like more neutral, but it's a color that stirs up energy. Let's say it that way. And so you don't want to have like stirred up energy. You want to be calm, and that's why. Maria says, I have ceremonial indigenous clothing from Mexico. Others might consider colors that are important. Yes. So if, for example, purple, because purple is very much connected to spirituality. So that's a good color. White is a good color. If you have colors that mean something to you in a spiritual sense, that's a good idea. If you really don't know what to wear, white is always good because it's neutral and it's a calm color. Yellow, I think yellow is okay, especially if it's like a light yellow, not too intense. But really, in the end, with all of this, like, this is just my opinion and my experience. You will have to go with what you feel is right. So listen to your intuition. For example, if you know that you are connected to the Orisha of the rivers, Oshun, her color is yellow. So if you want to connect with her, yes, of course you want to wear yellow. And Wendy says she's going to wear her moon crown with amethyst. Wow, that sounds amazing. And Brusella says white top and bottoms, pale scarf with wings on them, purple bandana with amethyst to third eye, purple pashmina, I'm not sure what that is, amethyst merkaba around neck. Wow, awesome. Yes. All right, so let's move on to the next page. This is the last page. Here we go. And this is, oops. All right, so this is where you decide what your ceremonial space and altar will look like. So where will the altar go? We already decided on a space in your house or garden. Maybe don't do it in a public space for obvious reasons. But so you already decided on your space. So now where in that space will the altar go? What will be on it? Where will you place the objects that represent the four directions and elements? Also, don't forget you have to have like your laptop or your iPad or your phone somewhere so that you can connect. And yeah, so you need a space for that too. And if it's told, if like I'm gonna sit here at my desk, if I would do it on my own, I wouldn't sit at my desk, but I need to be like connected to everything. And I will just place like my crystals and stuff around me. That works too. So take a few minutes and have fun with this to design your space. And then let us know in the chat if you have any awesome ideas. Yes, and Marie-Helene says, I don't know yet what I will wear, but surely something cozy. Yes, wear something that's comfortable. Very, very important. Thank you for sharing that. Maria says, the Huichol, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if that's wrong, Maria. Use some fluorescent colors because they say the spirits can see them from their realm. Interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, like I said earlier, if you're connected to a certain spiritual tradition and there are certain rules or certain things that you're used to, feel free to do that. See you next week, Maria. Maria Helene says a little table in front of the window and sit on a yoga pillow. Perfect. Anyone else have any ideas? Nicola says a shelf below a window looking out over my garden, which is very green with a huge tree. The shelf will have plants and candles. I'll think about other things I can add. Perfect. Karen says on my lounge room, I will make my altar, my beautiful dark brown wood antique duchess, and put my angel dolls on it. Okay, perfect. Oh, guys, I would love it if when you have it set up, that you take a picture and share that with me on Instagram and just like tag me. I would love to see that. And then maybe I can do a blog post with like pictures of these things. That would be great. Sarah says in front of cozy altar by window with crystals sparkling in window light. Perfect. And also, guys, you can start like preparing your space like whenever, like today, tomorrow, because it kind of like sets the space and the intention. And that just helps with already starting to create the connection. Lily says, I have a TV tray that I will set up as an altar. Perfect. Sounds good. And also, again, like an altar doesn't have to be like super fancy. It can be a windowsill. It can be a shelf. It can be a TV tray. It can just be on the floor. It can be on a little footstool, whatever feels right. And whatever you have the space for and the energy for, it can be just one candle and a crystal on your desk. It's just about like having one sacred space. Also, a good idea is to write your intention down on a piece of paper and place it on your altar. All right. So these are all great ideas. And Cindy says, I will spread a cloth on the floor to be a sacred space. Perfect. Sandra says, my altar is a shelf, faces southwest. Which element is this place? That really depends on like, it's different in different traditions. I personally like to have fire in the south, water in the west, earth in the north, and air in the east. But that's just me. That doesn't mean that you have to do it exactly the same way. Feel what's right for you. And again, if you know you want to connect, let's say, with a deity, then look it up. What kind of like directions do people that work with the Norse gods, for example, how do they do it? You can look these things up or just go with your own intuition. Marie-Hélène says, sometimes I draw or paint something that I add to my altar. Yes, that's also a good idea. Perfect. All right, guys, that's it for today, for the book club today. Like I said, keep an eye out for the invite to the ceremony next week. It'll arrive earlier than usual in your inbox. Read it carefully. And because there will be some more information than usual. All right, guys. I'm not going to do readings today because we're already over time. But if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me, which is 1 hour, you can do so at the following link that I will put in the chat now. Here you go. You can also just go to my website, the Spirit Guide Medium, and in the menu, click on Work With Me, and you will find it. At the moment, there is so I'm fully booked for the next 3 months. So if you want a reading, don't wait too long, because the list just grows. So if you want a reading, book it now. Especially if you want it, like, let's say on your birthday or something, then chances are that later on it will already be taken. So book it now. You can also always reschedule, like to another day if that needs to be done. So also, again, the price will go up soon, and I do that because I'm booked for 3 months, and I don't want to be booked up for a year. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to increase the price a little bit. So if you want to book for the current rate, now is a good time to do so. All right, thanks everyone. It was fun as always, and I'm really looking forward to next week. And hold on. Yeah, so I can wave at you and say thanks for coming. And if you want to, stay connected with me on Instagram. And when you set up your altar, send me a picture or your sacred space that you're gonna do the ceremony in, and tag me with @jmoonja. So thanks for coming, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.